Doesn't matter. You get yours open now anyway.
Good evening. I'd like to call the September 3rd, 2015 meeting of the Sebastian City Planning Commission Board. Please rise to the pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Roth?
Here.
Mr. McManus?
Here.
Mr. Dodd?
Here.
Mr. Kizelbosch?
Here.
Ms. Kottenberg?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Present.
Okay, as far as announcements are concerned, Mr. Reyes and Mr. Alvarez have an excused absence from the meeting this evening. Ms. Kattenberg will be voting this evening in their place. Also, Mr. Durr, who's been a really valuable member of this commission for 6 years, had to resign his position. He's got a lot of work schedule stuff that's kind of implementing his ability to continue on with the commission. He's going to be missed. He has a lot of knowledge, and he's done a lot of very positive input to some of the items that have been before us. Anyone else have any announcements that they'd like to make this evening? Oh, no? Okay. All right. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of August 6, 2015. Unless someone has some changes they'd like to recommend, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I move the minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
Give a motion, second. Any comments? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. This evening we have a public hearing. Let the city attorney read the...
Yes, sir. This is 6A on your agenda. It's a public hearing, recommendation to the City Council, modification to the conceptual development plan for Sandcrest subdivision, reduction of the rear setback, PUD-R zoning, southwest corner of Main Street and Powerline Road. Public hearing.
Okay. Does anyone here have any ex parte communications that they would like to report on this hearing? No?
None.
Okay. Would the applicant like to come forward and make a presentation?
Good evening, Chuck Mecklin with the Sandcrest Development. And as the old saying goes, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? As we were laying the community out with the lot sizes and then got into the process with finalization with the builder, and in keeping with the style that we were looking for with the covered or trussed over rear lanai areas and the front porch element, we had a couple of home plans that were a few feet over the situation. So in working with staff, the recommendation was to go ahead like other areas in the Sebastian market and reduce the rear lot in part from 25 to 20, and then all those homes can fit. And I thought that it might be nice to show briefly the elements. I have put 4 of these, and as you can see, all these units have a front porch element to them and a side load in this case. And in this particular case with the side load, you actually have an area in there as well that you could put a golf cart or a little workshop area. As you can see, that garage element pops out just a little bit to give you like a 2 1/4 or 2 1/3 car garage. But this was the reasoning behind what we were doing in this particular case. And staff, I know, is in support of it, and I'm open to any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
Hi. How many lots are we actually talking about? I noticed it said the rear lots.
So it would be about 32 or 36 lots. I'd have to actually count them up, but it would just be not the ones on the lake system, so it would be the ones that are off the lake system.
Okay, thank you.
And again, it's some of the homes So it would be, a percentage of those.
So it wouldn't be all of those?
Oh, absolutely not.
What percentage do you estimate?
50 at best of those lots, so it'd be 25, 30% of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I have a question about those lots which are abutting the main street. And if you build anything on Main Street right now, it's a 25 feet setback. So that's why I'm questioning the city. It's the same case, whether the front of the property or rear of the property is abutting to the main street. So those should be 25 feet setback, which is lot 26 to 32. That's the only question I have.
I understand what you're saying in that these have 2 front yards technically, but there is absolutely no access to Main Street. These are going to back up to Main Street. Those will all be their rear yards. Technically, the definition would be that it's a double front, but that's something that you can consider. But it's something I never even thought about. But they do have, that's a perimeter for them, the rear yard.
Yeah, all of the lots, I don't have any problem. These 7 lots, abutting that thing, that's the only question I have. You could redesign the houses to fit on those lots, the 7 lots.
If we were to redesign the houses, we'd lose the front porch. And we felt that that was an important element of the community. Part of what happened is that we took a multifamily property where it would have been a 2-story or a townhome type product, and what we've done to be more compatible with the general area is taken it to a single-story, single family. And then when you do that, we're losing a whole floor of buildable space. So what we've tried to do is produce product that would fit the Sebastian market that people are interested in. And again, when we talk about that extra 5 feet, of that 5 feet, not all those units would be placed there. And of that 5 feet, it's actually only on the one, I believe it's 1 foot 6 inches. The other one is 2 feet. So it's not that we're utilizing, so we would still hold to the front setback. So it wouldn't be like at a 20-foot mark in the back. It'd be like at a 23 or a 24 and a half in the back. So even though that we're requesting the extra 5-foot setback, we're not going to be all the way back into that.
Well, it's good for homeowners, less noise, more away from the main street. Otherwise, you might have to put a bigger buffer there.
Well, what we're doing along there is we've got a landscaped hedge that'll go at the end of the property line along Main Street, and actually where those homes are to be built, we're actually putting a retaining wall in because of the elevation drop from the lot line going down to Main Street. So what we're proposing, or what we are doing, is we're going to put a retaining wall along Main Street, and so when we fill those lots, they'll be basically outside of the grade for drainage. They're going to be filled up, and then on the outside of that, we're going to do our fencing, and we're going to do our hedge that'll run along Main Street to create that privacy barrier on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any access. It's going to be,
No,
Main Street's going to be blocked with landscaping and with a retaining wall.
Right, and this is a PUD as opposed, and a private subdivision and a PUD where he is allowed to negotiate his setbacks. And that's what, when he established them first time around, this was not caught. I mean, he had a different builder, had a different floor plans, and now he sees that he's got this problem, and he's here to renegotiate only that one item, the rear setback, and it's only for those perimeter lots. Okay. So there will be no driveways exiting those lots out onto Main Street.
Right. And there's not a sidewalk on that side of Main Street. There's nothing. That's on the opposite side.
There's a sidewalk.
There is a sidewalk.
There is a sidewalk.
But it's outside of his,
Okay.
He's building it, but it's outside of his subdivision.
Okay. There's no sidewalk on that side of Main Street for it to connect to, is there?
Not currently right now, but we are, in the phasing, putting in more and more sidewalks and trying to provide that connectivity. But, every little bit helps.
Right.
Okay. All right.
It's a start.
You have any questions?
No questions. Well, the only thing I could say is that anything you build in that outside perimeter is going to abut the landscaped area. So it doesn't strike me as being that important.
Yeah. Okay.
Following up to what Frank said, or John said, that they're not using all of the extra 5 feet, and that's what I wondered, and he answered that earlier. So it's not like they're using all of it. And that was a question I had, but he answered that on the easement. The other question
Mr. Roth,
I had was...
Mr. Roth, could you turn your microphone on?
It is.
It's on.
Oh.
Yeah.
There. Is that better? I'll speak into it. The other question I had was on Bob's Circle. The setback on those lots are going to change as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And, again, there may have to be, and I'm only pointing this out, some limitation on the homes that are selected to match that area, because you're dedicating part of that back to the city for an easement, and that's something you'll have to be aware of in that area.
We took that into account because there was some extra depth over there to begin with.
Okay. And any impact to the houses that back up to the drainage area with your reducing the setback?
No.
So again, you're going to follow the same format as the others. You may not use all of the additional 5 feet.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I have to compliment you. I'm glad you showed us these drawings. They're very attractive homes.
Thank you. I think it'll fit well into the Sebastian market, and I think it'll be something that'll be well received. We're excited.
Please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are my questions. That's
Okay.
it.
I have no questions, and I have no disagreements with it.
Okay. Does the staff have anything else that they'd like to say?
No, just that this reduction from 25 to 20 actually mirrors the RS10 zoning district that's the Sebastian Highlands in that area. So we don't see it as an issue at all.
Okay. All right. Since this is a public hearing, I'll open this up from anyone from the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this request. Seeing none, I'll open it up to anyone from the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request. Seeing none there either, then the public hearing is closed. I think the one negative thing that we heard was the Main Street setback, the 25-foot setback, but it appears that in the testimony that with the landscape buffer and the retaining wall, that really kind of takes care of any issue that might come about with that shortened with the shortened setback on Main Street. I think it's going to be an attractive project, even from Main Street. When you drive down, it's not going to look bad at all when they get the landscaping in and the retaining wall. So I don't personally have any issue with that, and wouldn't let that stop me from approving this. I don't know about the rest of the commissioners. Do we have any more comments? No. Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion. And the motion would be that we recommend to the City Council that they approve this change to the conceptual plan for the PUD.
Does staff have any final comments?
No. They said, I've asked them. They said
did.
no.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I missed it. In that case, I'll make a motion that we send this to City Council. I can't find the number. City ordinance, no. It's not in here.
It's not an ordinance in here. It's just a recommendation that that they approve the
I will make a motion that we recommend the City Council that they give final approval on the change in setback on the Sandcrest planned unit drawing.
Okay. That's for the conceptual plan, right? Yeah. Okay. We okay with that? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or discussion on the motion? None? Let's have a roll call, please.
Mr. McManus?
Yes.
Mr. Kizilbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Roth?
Yes?
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. We don't have any unfinished business. This is the point at which we open the meeting up for public input for things not on the agenda. So I'll open the meeting for any public input that anyone might have. And seeing no one who wants to input, then I'll close the public input section. There is no new business. Does anyone have any items they'd like to talk about, including on the next agenda? No. Okay. And we'll go to the commissioners' matters. Does anyone have any matters they'd like to discuss? Yes.
It has come to my attention that there has been some kind of a buzz about converting containers to housing units, and I spoke with Dory about it this afternoon. She said she would check with the building department. I don't know if that's something that we should think about. I've had several people inquire of, can we do this here in Sebastian? And I guess we could, as long as everything followed all of our construction codes. But I think it's something that people are thinking about. And you know what I'm talking about?
Is that a shipping container that they're going to convert to a house?
Yeah.
Kind of like they do in Upper Alaska and places like that?
Yeah, they're lovely. Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything in the Land Development Code that would stop somebody from building a container house. As long as it meets Florida Building Code, the building department would have to approve it.
Well, some of the zoning districts have size requirements, so that may prevent something, you have to have 1,200 in the RS10,
Yeah,
1,200 square feet under air, one-car garage. But I had mentioned to Ms. Cottenberg that I would check with the building official to see if he's heard any questions around this, if the current building code does address that. And I think Ms. Cottenberg wanted to be proactive to maybe put something into our codes regarding alternative housing and what we wanted with that. Would we require it to not look like a container and put on some sort of stucco finish or hardy plank and some of those specifications that we could maybe put into a proactive code instead of waiting until there's 3 or 4 in town and then deciding.
You have something?
Well, I recommend that this item be referred to staff, and they write the code so that there is no way the shipping containers could ever be used as residential units in Sebastian. That would be a disaster. They went into that on pre-built housing here 25 years ago, and the city has come up to a certain level as opposed to the way it was. The homes have improved architecturally, they've improved in square footage and all, and I think to even consider something like that is not good for the city.
Okay, but we haven't had any request to the building department to actually do that. There's no plans that's been submitted. No builders walked in and asked for anything related to that. Okay.
No, we have not. I think this is being more proactive just in case.
Absolutely.
I understand. Yeah.
But
I would agree that we should, that if it's a problem, we should do something. I just don't know how much we want to try to fix a problem that's not yet a problem. We should make sure the building department knows if somebody walks in the door with that, they should say something real quick, maybe.
But is it too late at that
As a
point
point
to
of
do it?
reference, there's, in some of our northern states, there's quite a concerted effort on having communities built out of containers.
Yeah.
As from the ecological standpoint, things and reusing things, and some of them actually look pretty nice.
Yeah, I've seen some. I watch the crazy TV channels. I've seen some that people have done. I saw a thing last night where a guy built a house out of tires. Great insulation for it, he said. So he built the outside wall out of tires, and then on the inside he actually put real wood walls on it. So, yeah.
I'm in agreement that something should be put in the bylaws or zoning code prior to somebody coming in for a permit, because then it's too late to shut the door. And I just can't imagine those units fitting in with Sebastian architecture.
Okay. Louise, do you have something else?
Yeah, I think one of my concerns was because I was asked the question, can we build these in Sebastian? And I was asked it twice last week. And I, of course, said, oh, I don't think so. But I think that we may find that we have some issues with definitions and descriptions. And you're absolutely right. This is proactive. It's like I'm one of those people who likes to get off the train tracks when I hear the train coming rather than try to crawl off after it's run over me.
I would think that maybe the course of action is to talk to the city manager and see if he thinks that someone on council would be willing to support it, because there's a real slippery. You cannot write a code that says no metal containers without writing a code that says everything that's no to. I mean, it would be very difficult to make a very small change to the code as part of the land development code, and without. I mean, that thing's going to end up before it's over with. Once you open that up and somebody says, "What do we want to allow?" Bam. The floodgates are open, and the next thing you know, we'll end up changing 3/4 of the land development code to make sure that people don't use gray walls or something. I mean, it's going to go crazy if we open it up. So I would think that it's the kind of thing the city manager might want to have some conversations with some people on council about whether it's something that they would support. At least you'd know if there's support going forward to do something with it. So, okay. Anything else? Okay. Does that get you rolling by getting them to talk about that?
I think it's something, yes, it doesn't get me rolling. I brought it up because I think that we need to talk about things before we have to make decisions.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, the city staff, are there any city attorney matters?
None tonight, sir. Thank you.
Staff matters? Any kind?
None tonight.
Okay, then we are adjourned.
22 minutes.